Okay. So we'll go ahead and get started. For those of you that I don't know, I'm Craig White, and this is Sumithra. Bhojan, we're co-chairs of the working group currently. We're happy that you guys are here, and I see a lot of familiar faces. But is there anyone who this is their first time to attend a telco working group? Oh, really? Well, I guess I just see you guys and don't understand. Is this your first time to attend a summit? Same there? Okay. So basically, we've got some new people to the summit, the new people also to the working group. Yeah, and this is not going to work very well, huh? So, what is a telco project? And so we're a group that discusses and creates OCP specifications related to telco and the use cases thereof. And that includes some number of participants. We have, component manufacturers, people who take the components and build products, people who take the products integrated into a solution, and then we also have the most important people for the work group, which are the adopters, which kind of drive all of the work from the specifications that they submit. So we go down through here. How many people are adopters? Adopter, okay. And you work at a carrier as well? Yeah, I work for a. Oh, okay. So are y'all using OCP? Interested in using OCP gear? Okay, okay. And like the networking kind of things, or are you looking for the compute as well? Just kind of experiencing it. Great. Well, I hope you have a great time. Then how about the solution providers? So that's kind of me. And by the way, my affiliation's with Nokia, but we try to be somewhat neutral as the co-chair because our job is really to drive the adoption and help you guys get your specifications out, created, any kind of roadblocks we can clear for you. That's really our responsibilities. We both have our own projects that we work on, our specifications that we work on, but that's kind of a different hat than our co-chair hats that we wear. So let's see, does this go down? So the technical sessions then are actual working groups that where the work gets done in OCP. And so this is our at least a yearly get-together where everyone can come and we can have a high bandwidth channel to discuss specifications and to work out any kind of details that need to be worked out for specifications and stuff. We haven't been taking advantage of the high bandwidth channel in my mind as much, and we supplement this with workshops. And so we had a workshop in Dallas this year. Do we have another? Two? The one in Dallas. Yeah, the one in Dallas was another face-to-face. Yeah. Okay, so two this year. And so today, what we, from the sessions that we'll be having, what we'll be hearing from are adopters will be presenting ideas for new products. Some manufacturers will report on the products that meet the existing specifications that an adopter has already put forth. And then we'll have several solutions that are software solutions for actually how you take OCP hardware, tie all that together with a software layer that then can deliver the service that our adopters are interested in delivering. And by our adopters, that is, we believe it's also applicable to the industry as well. They're just not, they haven't caught on to the craze yet, if you will. All right. So some recent work of the Telco project. We have this year we created a new sub-project, which is the openEDGE. And that sub-project has just completed its first submission. And Bill talked about that on the keynote yesterday, if anyone caught it. And the way the structure of the OCP is, there's high-level projects, and then each project may have several sub-projects underneath its area of, this maybe focus of its own for that specification or interest, or group of specifications in this case. There are the openEDGE, as we'll hear later, has a different cadence than the Telco project, where in Telco we have a monthly call and in our standard mail list. On the openEDGE, it's actually 2 calls per month, and then there's a face-to-face workshop every 3 quarters, every 3 months, so 4 total. And of course, this counts as one of those, and we just had one in Sunnyvale at the beginning of last month. We've also had several projects or several specifications or products that meet specifications for some of the AT&T specifications for products. So in this case, this is the example of one of our adopters has written a specification of a box or a product that they would like to have, and the group has come together and has delivered those. And I think now we're even to the point on one of those has two now, or we've got another submission for the second one, right? And so then we also had some work done with Deutsche Telekom earlier in the year on a GPON OLT specification. And I think that was a joint, that specification was a joint thing where I think they had some other inputs from other carriers and stuff that they had worked with, as opposed to a specific need of an individual organization. We've also done, as we move into like the Open Fiber Distribution Hub specification, this is a passive element that goes into the network for a PON network, and it was a situation where all the vendors had a product, and the enclosure sizes were the same, but the plug-ins that went into those had a slightly different form factor, so that you were kind of stuck using that vendor's product or have to get rid of all of it and switch. And so AT&T, as they were deploying their network, it was became obvious to them that they would like to specify that so that the vendors could then have products that were OCP, that met this OCP specification, and then they would work in an enclosure from any other vendor. So we have some interoperability, which is a very interesting use of OCP in the telco group. It's kind of a first for us and I think maybe even in OCP in general, where there was just a passive, outside plant piece of equipment, or even inside plant. I think the data center guys could probably use the same with their patch panels to get some standardization there as well. So it was kind of an example that we set. I think that was very nice. So then we have some ongoing work with our specification. So the cell site gateway router, and this is the one that has the multiple vendors, is the cell site router. And so we'll have a product submission from UFI that meets this spec. EdgeCore has already produced one. There's then the Open Programmable PON OLT, and I think, are you presenting on that this time as one of our sessions a little later? And then the EdgeCore aggregation router, which is then aggregates the cell sites together to deliver like a backhaul kind of a router. Am I missing that one? Oh, that's the SIAD, the different one. But the aggregation router has, this one has the timing and all of that stuff for distribution and the high density ports, okay? And then AT&T has the G.fast DPU specification. And are you presenting on that, or is that?
It's an open specification.
Yes?
You know, I think it would really help if we get more feedback and adopters' interest to push through the same specification.
Okay, so we'll have that on a call coming up and a specification coming on that. Okay, and then again, one of the functions of the work groups is to provide feedback. So, you know, if you have feedback or comments as you're reading one of the specifications, a way to make it better, or, you know, maybe if there was a small change that could be made, it would then fit your use case. You know, reach out to the authors, and you know, you could also, you know, reach out on the mail list and hit, you know, a wider audience, which is always the case for any specification that you're interested in. We don't require a specification to be fully baked to bring it to the work group. So if you have, you know, some ideas, it doesn't even have to be a specification necessarily, but the specification is a kind of a technical OCP term for how you present your idea to the wider OCP audience. But as far as the Telco working group goes, you can, you know, bring up a topic on the mail list, you know, an idea you had, something you think would be beneficial, some use case you have, a product that you may need developed, and that'll allow the community then to contribute to that. And it could be a very high level use case, and, you know, then both the component manufacturers and the equipment vendors will then, you know, chime in with, here's some options for how this could be solved, or here's an existing product we have that we can modify, those kinds of things. So for submission ideas, let's see, I'm missing my screen. Here, let's see if I can get that bottom one up. All right, well, we'll have to see if we can remember all of these. So in the past, the OCP was primarily driven by specifications. We've now expanded that to include reference architectures. We also have embedded software, which would be things that BIOS control for like the switches, so that you can communicate with them, configure them. You know, a tested configuration. So, you know, I've put together a system using these OC parts, and this is my, you know, configuration. And we welcome those kinds of things as submissions because it helps other interested groups. We call them like the, you know, co-travelers down this path. You know, you can put a little path mark or a, you know, road sign. Hey, I had that, and, you know, this is the way I'll solve that particular problem. And it doesn't have to be 100% OCP solution. You know, you may have had to use some other piece, which then, you know, leads to, oh, well, maybe we need a submission on that thing that you had to use different, that, you know, could we modify something we have? Do we need to make a new submission to create these products that are necessary to deliver the services? You know, a case study. So, you know, I've looked at several different options of how to do this. And these are all, you know, the things that we would want. We want to, our community building ideas that we're now soliciting for, because I don't think as people come in, they don't quite realize that, you know, as a community-driven organization, it feeds off the ideas of the group. You know, again, white papers. I wish I could see that. Does this go over there? Let's see if we can. Is it? Yeah. Oh well. I'm sorry. There's And these slides, by the way, will be on the proceedings. And so as you've noticed, there's cameras around, microphones, so that if something that wasn't clear, or did I think I heard that, or, you can always go back. There's a YouTube channel. And if there's another session that's running, you happen to be in our session and you were kind of up in the air between the two, go back to the YouTube, refer back to those channels, and you can see all the presentations there. So then how to get involved, join the mail list. And for those of you who are existing Telco members, or any member of any of the subgroups or groups and subgroups within OCP, we changed our email exploder for the mail list this year. And so if you're not getting emails in the mail list, or you think things are really gone quiet, you have to actually opt in to renew your membership, so that we didn't take everyone who was already on the mail list and move those over. You have to actually join the groups.io main page, and then, or main mail list, and then you can go into any of the other groups that you're interested in following and subscribe to their mail list. And then, like I said earlier, we have a monthly project call, and it alternates between the first Wednesday and the first Thursday. And this is the reason for the different days is in Asia Pac, that is actually Thursday. And so in the US, it's a very late call, which catches them at their Thursday morning. And then obviously the Thursday for us is typically around noontime, depending on what your time zone is. And and those are always on the calendar in the OCP website. So there's kind of a lot of it's self-service, so you kind of have to figure out where's the events calendar. We try to keep our wiki page pointing to the most current one. And then you also can refer to the web page, which is the opencompute.org, and then projects telco, which is easier than writing that down. If you go to the Open Compute web page, there's a menu bar that has projects. You pull that down, go to telco. It'll bring up information with both Sumithra and I's emails, the mail list, and then the link to the calendar of events. So does anybody have any questions? I think this is the last one for our kickoff wrap-off, and I'm a couple minutes over. I'm sorry about that, but we were a little late getting started with not very many people in the room, so welcome for y'all. Hopefully you're here for the next session anyway, rather than the kickoff call. Is that all good? Okay, and so at any time too, if you go to the project's web page, there's an email link, so that'll get straight to me or Sumithra. So please feel free to click on the link, send us an email privately if you don't have something that you feel like you'd like to talk about to the whole mail list, and we'll try to get you pointed in the right direction.